What's up? Hey, you guys, sports podcast created for and made for by the average Joe. This is your host, Charles Jackson speaking. Welcome to tonight's video. We have a few topics we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the recent uh, disappointing bowl loss for the Florida Gators today. They suffered the hands of the 14th ranked Oregon State Beavers. For those who's watching and haven't watched before, please like and subscribe to the channel. Like and subscribe for more videos such as this on this channel. Well, friends, let's dive into the most recent Florida bowl loss. The Gator third bowl loss in the school's recent history. Florida lost today 30-3 at the hands of Oregon State behind a lethargic run game that was held to 39 yards rushing. Anthony Richardson did not play in this game. Justin Short did not play in this game. O'Shea, how you say O'Shea? What's his man's name? Well, All American offensive line, O'Shea Torrance. That's who it is. O'Shea Torrance didn't play in today's game. They all opted out for the draft, and then we have a bunch of other players opted out because they're transferring. So Jack Miller inserts him to the starting quarterback position because Jalen Kittler's not dismissed for the team. And he had a relatively average game with 13 for 22 for a buck 80. No turnovers, no touchdowns. He was average at best for the Gators today. The run game was horrible. We couldn't get no creases consistently on the edge of the perimeter. Oregon State came in, only allowed 114 yards on the ground. They held the Gators to a third of that. So kudos to Oregon State for doing their homework, staying studious, and shut down Gators running game. Etienne and Johnson combined for 28 yards on 19 carries. That's less. That's a little over 1 yard per carry. Jack Miller, he had 13 yards added to it. So if you look at it all together, Florida ran the ball 33 times for 39 yards. Team average of 1.2 per carry. Ricky Pearsall was the team leading receiver, 4 catches, 65 yards, which hopefully is not his last game as a Gator. He is a junior. Hopefully he hasn't acknowledged that he wanted to transfer, but he also acknowledged that he was coming back either. So his future's in the air. But it's good to see him out there. Xavier Henderson did play as well for the receiving corps. Caleb Douglas had 2 catches for 25 yards. John Thornton, who has a bright future to get an offense at tight end, 2 for 24. Jaquavion Frazier, 1 for 10. Trevor Etienne, 1 for 9. And then Ty Bowman, 2 for 53. Uh, Oregon State ran the ball very effectively. Their leading rusher was a former SEC running back, and Deshaun Fenwick. He had 21 carries for 107 yards, 5 yards a carry on a level 29. He led the way for the Oregon State running game that ran the ball for 164 yards. They also threw the ball very effectively. Quarterback Ben Gulbranson was 12 for 19, 165 through the air, touchdown, no interceptions, with a QR rate of a 92. So what does it mean for Florida? For one, congratulations to Oregon State for a 10-win season. 10-3 is a beautiful record, especially what they had a couple of years ago when it was 111 when Coach Jonathan Smith took over the team. For those who don't know who Jonathan Smith is, he's the head coach at Oregon State. Back in 2001, I believe, he helped Oregon State beat Notre Dame 41-9 in the '01 Fiesta Bowl. His teammates at the time, Chad Johnson and TJ Houshmandzadeh. I think Houshmandzadeh, but nonetheless, he had very good company riding back in the '01 team. He came back home, took over the program, and he has a style of play where I heard during the telecast today that Kurt Herbstreit and Pat McAfee was talking about that he's a more of a hit him in your mouth type of coach. Run down the football down your throat till you can stop him type of coach. They're more of a pro style team where they're more of a run heavy type offense. They was out a couple of players, especially two top wide receivers who was combined for 100 receptions this year. They was both out, but it didn't really matter because we have a balanced offense like that. We can throw for 189 and run for 164. You don't really need too much passing yards. So kudos to them. 10 wins is amazing. They'll finish probably the top 13 in the country, depending on how the end of the season goes. But congratulations to them. Going to Florida, this is our back-to-back 6-7 season. Where last year finished 6-7 after a loss in St. Petersburg in the Gasparilla Bowl. Florida's now lost 3 consecutive bowl games, dating back to the 2020 Cotton Bowl. Florida has not won a bowl game since 2019 Orange Bowl. So Florida has to really get grinded off season. First of all, we need to find out who's our starting quarterback is next year. Anthony Richardson, he's declared for the draft, so congratulations to him. He's a top 15, top 20 pick. I wouldn't let that pass me. I'll go as well. I don't think a meaningless bowl game, what's the point of playing a bowl game that I don't think is going to better my chances of getting drafted. Justice Shorter, he declared for the draft. O'Shea Torres, he declared for the draft. He's the top offensive tackle in the country. I didn't know during his time at the University of Florida, O'Shea Torres never allowed a QB hit or a sack in his entire 4 year career. So congratulations to him as well. And everybody in the University of Florida that's going on to the NFL draft. Good luck to you in your future. And to the transfers, I wish you better luck at your new schools. Trent Whittemore, one of the key players that's transferred. Lorenzo Lingard also transferred. And David Reese, one of the headliners of the Gators transferring class. Going forward for Florida, they got a very tough schedule next year to open up. If you open up in Salt Lake City against Utah, they have Arkansas on the schedule. Then you have to go to Baton Rouge. They have to go to South Carolina. They do have home games against Tennessee and Florida State. So we'll see how Florida does next year. For Billy Napier, I really hope that your class is coming in. Your first class is coming in this year. We need to find some depth at the quarterback position. We need to make sure we have solid wide receivers. Our defense had a very good second half of the year. They actually showed that they could play real good football today. It was just defense on the field too much, and offense really didn't get it going. I hope Jack Miller this offseason really works on his game. Of course, it's his first time playing, so I'm not going to be critical on him. I just really want to see a real another successful getting quarterback. Real deal could win the game with your type quarterback. We haven't had that since Kyle Trask. AR showed at times that he could be that quarterback, but he showed at times he ain't that guy. So I hope he could turn around in the NFL. He hopefully could be a franchise quarterback. I see shades like Cam Newton in him. Big guy, 6'4", 240, could run a sub 4.5, 4.4, and he got an NFL type arm, but he don't have NFL type accuracy. And the decision making can be a lot better. I see times in the Kentucky game and Georgia game, he looked real sporadic with his his management skills and his accuracy. But in times in Tennessee and the Vanderbilt games, we threw 400 yards. He shows that he can be a very high caliber quarterback in this game, but he has to put all together game in and game out. And I hope the best for Anthony Richardson going to the draft and all the Gators that decide to go to the NFL draft. Let's go over next thing we're talking about. We're gonna go over a few bowl games that happened today. We have 7 bowl games today. They really don't. It's not really good bowl games, but hey, we got college football. Bowl season started. Florida, Oregon State started us off. Oregon State was just it was one sided from the time the ball kicked off to the final bell rang, and Oregon State ran over Florida 30-3. Then we have Rice and Southern Miss. I didn't know Frank Gore's son played for Southern Miss, but that game is going on currently in the fourth quarter. It is tied at 24 apiece down there in Mobile, Alabama. Another game just kicked off recently. SMU and BYU then kicked off. And right now, that game right now is tied at 10 apiece. We go back to where I was just at. Louisville and Cincinnati started us off today down there at Fenway Park in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. And Dion Branch, who a Patriot great, filled in as interim head coach before Jeff Braun comes in and take over the Louisville Cardinals. And he got his first ever collegiate win as a head coach as Dion Branch leads the Louisville Cardinals to a 24-7 victory over the Cincinnati Bearcats. That win finished off Cincinnati with that win finished off Louisville with an 8-win season. Despite what they started off with at the beginning of the year, it's good they rebounded and finished off with an 8-win season. I'm sad to not see Malik Cunningham play this final collegiate game before he goes to the draft. But let him know he got to win in his final game as a bowl as a Cardinal. But unfortunately, he didn't start that game. Cincinnati falls to 9-4. Still a good year for Cincinnati. They went to the college football playoff last year. They still finished with 9 wins this year, despite losing Desmond Ritter. And now they lose Luke Fickell, their head coach, as he leaves Cincinnati to go somewhere else. So it's a battle of interim head coaches. But Louisville, using that ACC speed, they took care of business by 17 in Boston. Battle in Los Angeles between two West Coast teams. Washington State and Fresno State battle in the Jimmy Kimmel Los Angeles Bowl. And it's the Bulldogs of Fresno State with a blowout victory over Washington State. My friend Justin was very high on the Cougars this year, despite having 7 wins. It wasn't good enough to get their 8th win, as Fresno State finished with double-digit wins. They go to 10-4 to end the year. Washington State falls to 7-6, and it was all Cougars from the all Bulldogs from the time the game started to the game ending. The quarterback Hayner threw the ball for 24 times, 24 36, 279 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Their starting running back, Mims, 210 yards rushing on two touchdowns onto a 23-point rout of the Cougars, and a wonderful season for Fresno State as they finished 10-4. One more game we'll talk about that's not kicked off yet. It's going to be our nightcap game. It's a battle between Boise State and North Texas. They'll be kicking off sometime after 9 o'clock tonight. That'll be on ESPN. It'll be the Frisco Bowl between those two teams. Fresno State, not Fresno State, but Boise State lost in their conference championship game, but they did go to a bowl game. Once again, Boise State consistent in bowl season. So hopefully they took care of business against the North Texas team. Next team we're still in college football. We're gonna talk about the coaching carousel going on now in the college football world. A lot of the big name coaches are now gone from their previous schools, such as Tom Harmon. He's now at FAU. Luke Fickle left to go to a new school. Jamie Chatwell, for those who know him, he left Coastal Carolina to take over at Liberty. Hugh Freeze left Liberty to go to Auburn. And a lot of big name coaches are now going to newer and better destinations. We're going to talk about the new coaching hires that's happened this week from the 10th to today, the 17th. So we're going to talk about what happened on the 17th. Arkansas hired defensive coordinator Travis Williams to be the new defensive coordinator for the Razorbacks. He coached UC up to a top 5 finish in the red zone defense following the AAC championship game. Syracuse hired defensive coordinator Rocky Long, 72-year-old coach. What's going on, Big Perm? Appreciate it for the view. New Mexico defensive coordinator Rocky Long will now go to Syracuse. He'll take over as the Syracuse defensive coordinator. Long, for those who don't know, was also the head coach at San Diego State and New Mexico early on in his career. He did mentor Tony White, who left Syracuse to be the defensive coordinator. So, congratulations to Rocky Long. He's one of the oldest coaches in college football. He will take over as the Syracuse Orange defensive coordinator. At Illinois expect to elevate secondary coach Aaron Henry to defensive coordinator, according to the Illinois Illini Inquirer. At Purdue, for those who know, Drew Brees is now back in college football. He is now an assistant at Purdue University. He will take over starting this bowl game against LSU. So it's good to see Drew Brees now back working around football as alma mater at Purdue. Purdue also hired Kevin Kane as the defensive coordinator. He was the former associated head coach at Illinois. For those who know, Illinois had a great turnaround season under first-year coach Brett Bielema, who previously was at Wisconsin. For those who know who Brett Bielema is, Brett Bielema is the reason why Wisconsin was on a national stage every single year. Whether it's 8-win season, 9-win season, 10, 11-win season, Brett Bielema was the model consistency at Wisconsin. He did the same thing in Illinois in his first year. 8 wins, got to a bowl game. Illinois is not known for making bowl games, but for the fact they're in one this year under a new head coach, signs are good to come down there in Champaign. On December 15th, Barry Odom added Georgia Tech receivers coach Dale Alexander to his staff in the same position as a former Virginia Tech special teams coordinator James Shilbest will take over as the Rebel special teams coordinator. As we just said, Drew Brees, legendary Purdue and New Orleans quarterback Drew Brees, have received a waiver from the NCAA to serve as an interim assistant coach for Purdue as it prepares for its bowl game. He will coach the quarterbacks and help with recruiting. So after the bowl game against LSU, Drew Brees will now be part of the staff. He will be helping with recruiting and be the quarterback coach for the Boilermakers. So congratulations to Drew Brees once again on being the interim head coach for his alma mater, the Purdue Boilermakers. UCF, former offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey is now going to the Tar Heel State. He will go to University of North Carolina to be the offensive coordinator. Lindsey did not call plays at UCF, but has previous stints at Auburn, Troy, Arizona State, and Southern Miss. He led some of the nation's best passing offenses at Troy and Southern Miss, where he turned Nick Mullins into an all-conference quarterback. For those who know who Nick Mullins is, he was one of the core. He had a stint in the NFL playing for the San Francisco 49ers. Auburn hires linebackers coach Christian Robinson. Well, linebackers coach Christian Robinson was not being retained on defensive coordinator Ron Roberts' staff, so Christian Robinson was let go by Auburn. UNLV and Bobby Petrino has came to agreement to be the next offensive coordinator at UNLV. Reports Chris Lowe first reported this. This is the first time Petrino has served as assistant coach since 2002, when he was at Auburn. The former Arkansas, Louisville, Western Kentucky coach led Missouri State to two FCS playoff appearances in 3 years, after previously missing the postseason since 1990. Congratulations to Bobby Petrino, now back in FBS football as an offensive coordinator for the Running Rebels of UNLV. On December 14th, former Stanford tight end coach Morgan Turner has been hired to replace Dowell Logan as the Arkansas Titans coach. Turner coached for David Shaw at Stanford since 2013. And with the head coach resignation, he looked elsewhere for a job. Morgan Turner is expected to begin recruiting for the Hogs as early as Thursday. Kent State has hired Minnesota running back coach Kenny Burns as the new head coach for the Golden Flashes. At Boise State, Boise has a new offensive coordinator. It's a blast from the past. Mizzou quarterback coach Bush Hamden, who was well-respected backup quarterback for the 04 to 08 Boise State Broncos. Congratulations to Bush Hamden going back to his alma mater to be their new offensive coordinator. At Mississippi State, defensive coordinator Zach Arnett has been elevated to interim head coach to permanent head coach at Mississippi State with a 4-year contract. He replaces Mike Leach, who died this past Monday at the age of 61. So congratulations to Zach Arnett to stay in-house and take the job as the new Mississippi State head coach. Cincinnati coach Scott Satterfield announced the addition of former staff members from his previous staff at Louisville. Derek Nicholson, inside linebacker coach Darrell Sims, running backs coach Darrell Sims, and Pete Thomas, the quarterback coach. USF, Georgia Southern running back coach Matt Merritt has been hired to USF to be the new running back coach for the Bulls. Also, USF has hired Iowa State quarterback coach Joe Gordon to the same position. Reports first reported by ESPN Pete DeMel. Stanford, Sacramento State receiving coach Tyler Osborne and running backs coach Malcolm Agnew are following Troy Taylor to Stanford. On December 13th, former Kansas head coach Dave Beatty has joined Tom Harmon's staff at FAU. According to Beatty's Twitter profile, it has not yet been announced where Beatty's role will be at FAU. Beatty, who was 6-42, leading Kansas, and Herman previously worked together as assistants at Rice. Texas State, at least two of Gene J. Kinney's staffers at Incarnate Word will follow him to Texas State. Mac Leftwich was hired Tuesday as the OC, and Jordan Shoemaker will follow as the offensive line coach. At UAB, South Carolina analyst Nick Coleman has been hired as the quarterback's coach and offensive recruiting coordinator at UAB. Reported first by 24/7 Sports. Kent State is expected to hire Minnesota running back coach Kenny Burns to be his next head coach. North Texas hired Washington State offensive coordinator Eric Morris as the new head coach, first reported by 24/7 Sports. He was Incarnate Word's head coach a year ago and has incredible success on the FCS level before revitalizing Washington State's offense this season, with quarterback Cameron Ward, who transferred to Washington State from Incarnate World in the offseason. Stanford, Indianapolis coach, tight end coach Clayton Adams has been hired to be the new Stanford's O-line coach. At Illinois is expected to promote from within for its next DC after the departure of Ryan Walters to be the new head coach of Purdue. A source tells 24/7 Sports outside linebackers coach Kevin Kane previously called plays at SMU in Northern Illinois, and linebackers coach Adam Buh has Big Ten experience and as the coordinator at Rutgers and Maryland. Several defensive coordinators under Brett Bielema have become head coaches, which includes Walters, David Duran at Northern Illinois and NC State, and Charlie Partridge at FAU. And then speaking of Ryan Walters, he was named as the new head coach for the Boilermakers on December 13th. South Carolina and Arkansas. Arkansas tight end coach Dwell Logan intends to accept the offer to become the new South Carolina offensive coordinator. Arizona State. Saguaro High School Jason Moans has hired to be the tight end coach at Arizona State. His alma mater, according to 24/7 Sports, Moans won 7 state titles in 11 seasons as Saguaro's head coach in Arizona. Colorado. Jackson State offensive coordinator Brett Bertolli has joined Colorado's staff as receivers coach, first reported by Athletics' Bruce Fieldman. On December 11th, Georgia Tech has hired Appalachian State offensive line coach Jeet Wade to the same position. Auburn is firing the deal to hire former Baylor defensive coordinator Ron Roberts as Hugh Freeze's defensive play caller. First reported by 24/7 Sports. The Tigers are also zeroed in on former Tulsa head coach Philip Montgomery, who was circling a contract to become Freeze's offensive coordinator. Oregon State. Speaking of Oregon State, Jonathan Smith has agreed to do a 6-year deal worth $30.6 million dollars to be the Oregon State head man. First reported by John Canzano. Navy, the new head coach, Ken Numatalo, is out after 15 years leading the program. He led the midshipmen to a 109-83 record, which is a win percentage of 57%, and is the winningest coach in school history. But the midshipmen hasn't had one winning season in the last 5 seasons. Cal, former North Texas offensive coordinator Mike Bloch, has been hired to be the offensive line coach at Cal. And on December 10th, Arkansas is targeting former Baylor defensive coordinator Ron Roberts. Ron Roberts will replace Barry Odom as the Hogs' defensive play caller. Then North Texas elevated Jared Mosley to AD after serving as COO and interim AD. Mosley's promotion expedites search for a new head coach to lead the Mean Green. Mosley has been working to shorten the list of candidates for North Texas head football coach vacancy for the last few days. And now that his promotion is official, he is moving forward with zeroing in on top targets. North Texas is using Parker Executive Search during the process. Ole Miss and NC State. NC State offensive line coach John Garrison accepted the same position at Ole Miss. Stanford, Sacramento State head coach Troy Taylor, a former Cal quarterback, has officially become the new Stanford head coach. Taylor's high-flying offense led Sacramento State to a 30-8 record and 3 straight Big Sky titles in his 3 seasons, leading the program. He led the program to a 12-0 record this season before losing this past Friday to a second-round game against Incarnate Word, who was coached by recent hired Texas State head coach and former Tulsa quarterback G.J. Kinney. Ohio State. Keenan Bailey has been promoted to tight ends coach at Ohio State, where he served the last 2 years as a senior advisor to head coach Ryan Day. At USF hired Tennessee graduate assistant Tyler Hunenick as the offensive line coach. Tennessee analyst Jack Taylor has also been hired as a USF tight end coach. It's a lot of tight end. a lot of tight end. Sorry, there's a lot of coaching moves over the last week in NCAA football. But let's go ahead and go to our next topic. We're going to talk about what happened today in the NFL. The biggest NFL collapse in NFL history. And no, I'm not talking about the Super Bowl where Tom Brady came up for 25 down. It's happened today in another miracle in Minneapolis between the Colts and the Vikings. The Colts is up 33 to nothing at halftime, but the Vikings stormed off in the second half, scoring 39 unanswered points to beat the Colts in overtime, 39 to 36, on Greg Joseph's game-winning field goal with seconds left in OT. So the question is, are the Colts that bad, or is the Vikings just that good? I'm gonna let y'all decide on that one. That is the largest comeback in NFL history, and what a game it was. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but just seeing the highlights and stats all over Twitter and ESPN, it behooves me to see how the Colts blew a 33 nothing lead. But I realize Matt Ryan, on the other hand, one of the biggest comebacks in pro football history. But I'm not blaming all on Matt Ryan. Whoever's the offensive play calling is not helping the coach situation. Granted, John Taylor was injured, and then Matt Ryan, I don't know what's up with him. I tell Colts fans all the time, Matt Ryan's not the answer. Like just like Carson Wentz wasn't the answer. Colts got to really go have to find a quarterback in the draft and build around him. Stop trying to get these free agent quarterbacks. They're gonna be a quick fix to save your franchise. Carson Wentz wasn't the guy. Matt Ryan isn't the guy. Don't try and get Jimmy G. He ain't the guy either. Go. There's plenty of quarterbacks in this year's draft. Yeah, Anthony Richardson. You're gonna have Bryce Young. You're gonna have C.J. Stroud. You got a lot of big men, collegiate quarterbacks gonna be in this year's draft. Go get one. Build around them because ain't no way in the world y'all should blew a 33 nothing lead. Kirk Cousins are now officially 11-3. I believe today they did clinch a playoff spot. And I think they clinched the division today with today's win as well. Kirk Cousins was 36 to 54 for a season high 460 yards, 4 TDs and 2 picks. Dalvin Cook 17 carries for 85 yards. He also had the go tying score later on in the fourth quarter. KJ Osborne had a career day, 10 for 157 and a touchdown. Matt Ryan was a pedestrian 9 of 33 for 182 and a touchdown. Zach Moss led the way in rushing for the Colts. 26 carries for 81 yards. And then Michael Pittman led the way for the Colts receiving 10 catches for 60 yards. Colts fall to 4-9-1. And the Vikings go to now 11-3. Big win for the Vikings. Congratulations to those guys getting to double digits or getting to 11 win the year and sealing up a division that was never in doubt theirs. Another game that just went final recently, battling the AFC North between the Lamar Jackson-less Baltimore Ravens and Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. And that was a defensive struggle all game. Javion Clowney did not play due to a head injury, but it was all Browns. And it wasn't even close. It was all field goals up until the third quarter, where Deshaun Watson found Donovan Peoples-Jones for a 3-yard touchdown, and that was the only touchdown of the game. Browns win 13-3. They're now 6-8. They have won. They have won every game so far since Deshaun Watson. No, I'm lying. They won 2 out of 3 games since Deshaun Watson has been in a Browns uniform. They're now, I believe, 2.5 games back for division lead. Tyler Huntley was 17 of 30 for 138 and an interception. J.K. Dobbins returning back to the peak form, 13 carries for 128. Mark Andrews, 3 for 31. A bad day for Mark Andrews. Deshaun Watson was pretty efficient, 18 of 28 for 161 and a touchdown. Nick Chubb was a yard shy of 100 for 21 carries for 99 yards. Amari Cooper led the way in receiving, 4 for 58. So with that being said, that loss today did hurt the Ravens' chances of getting back in division. The Browns are here to keep slight chances of making the playoffs alive. Now winners of 2 of the last 3. They're now 6-8. The Ravens fall to 9-5. And it's a big weekend because now the Bengals could really put a cushion between them and the Ravens. They have a tough test as they go down to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. That's gonna be a fun game. I got Cincinnati winning that game. I think too much Joe Burrow, too much Jamar Chase. Now he's back. T. Higgins and the crew. They're gonna be too much. And then Samaje P. Ron run that football very well for them. They got a running attack down there in Cincinnati. The Bucks just can't put it together. They can't run the football. They ain't forcing Tom Brady to be one dimensional, which they really hasn't been consistent this year. I got the Bengals winning that one. Then we got the Commanders and the Giants. Both teams are struggling as of recent. The Giants have lost 40 last 5 games. I got the Commanders winning that one. Titans and Chargers. Chargers come off a huge win last Sunday night against the Dolphins. Titans come off an embarrassing loss to the Jags. A loss by Tennessee and a win by Jacksonville cuts the Titans lead down to 1 in the AFC South. Who would have thought the Jacksonville Jaguars would be in striking distance of being the division leader once again? But they need a loss by the Titans and a win this Sunday against the Cowboys to cut the lead to 1. But it's a tall task. Jacksonville got to get their job done as they go to as they host Dak Prescott and Dallas Cowboys. I don't know who's gonna win that one. I'm not gonna make no predictions on that one. If all I want to say is if Jacksonville wants to win this game, they have to continue to let Trevor Lawrence throw that football. Apparently, Travis Etienne is not. I don't know if he's 100%. He's a little banged up, but Trevor Lawrence has been slinging that football the last couple of weeks, including almost 400 yards last week against the Titans. If the Jazz want to win, they gotta continue to let Trevor throw the football. Let him run loose all over the Cowboys secondary this Sunday. I got the Patriots and the Raiders. That's a big game right there for the Patriots. They want to keep coasting in the wild card. The Raiders have been surging lately. They won, I think, what is it, that 3 of the last 4, 2 of the last 3. The Patriots they're not good. They're not bad either. Matthew Judon's having an All-Pro year. If it comes down to it, I'm gonna give the Raiders an upset victory at home against the Patriots. I got the Raiders winning this one. Broncos and Cardinals, I really don't care who win this game. Both teams are bad. Russell Wilson probably his worst statistical year of his entire career. I got the Cards winning because I'm a D-Hop fan. Cards over the Broncos. Chiefs and Texans, skip that one. We don't know who's going to win that one. Giants and Jets, battle of two teams and going in opposite directions. Jets are going down while the Lions are surging up. Lions have won 40 last 5 games. Jets have lost 3 consecutive games. I got the Lions continuing their high power offense. They're gonna go against a very tough Jets defense, but the quarterback situation going on in Gotham, I don't know who's gonna start for them. Either Mike White or Joe Flacco. Neither one will get the job done. I believe it's Jared Goff. Jameson Williams came on just at the right time as the Lions are surging. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark and the crew, and Jamal Williams, man, that's a touchdown machine every time he touches the football. We got the Lions winning this one, an upset. Bears and Eagles, another one that nobody wants to see, but the Eagles win this one blowout fashion. Steelers and Panthers, both teams coming off surprising games last weekend. Pittsburgh losing a tough one to Anthony Brown, the third string quarterback for the Steelers, and then the Panthers come off a huge win down there in Seattle to now within a game of the Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the division. Big game for Carolina. I got Carolina winning this game to keep pace with Tampa. They're now 6-7. This will be a big win for Carolina. Big win for the whole NFC South. They all are in striking range of getting the division title. I got Carolina with the upset win at home against Pittsburgh. Falcons and Saints, big game for both teams. Like I stated before about Carolina's situation, Atlanta's now a game back of Tampa in the division. They're now playing with a new starting quarterback as Marcus Mariota was benched in favor of Desmond Ridder, the third round pick out of Cincinnati. He will take over and take on the Saints down there at Bayou Central. I got the Falcons winning this one. The Saints has been on a downward spiral since Endo's been the starter. If y'all can start, if they bring back Jameis as a full time starter, I think the Saints can win the division. But with Andy Dalton as a starter, I don't think the Saints have a chance to win the division. Falcons big win on the road in New Orleans, and then we're gonna talk about Another team that clinched a playoff spot this weekend, the San Francisco 49ers clinched the NFC West with an 8-point victory on the road against Seattle. Brock Purdy is now 2-0 as a starter, and he looked very efficient for 217 and 2 touchdowns. Big win. Seattle falls out of 7-6. They're going to really need to win out, though, keep their pace in the wild card round. But that's all the NFL. So, oh, yeah, the Bills and Dolphins, they're still going on in the second quarter. Dolphins down 8 to Buffalo. Buffalo win this game. They're most likely going to clinch the division. And they're actually going to clinch a playoff spot if they win today. Right now, the Dolphins got the football. Two is looking real bad right now. He's 4 for 10 for 44 yards. Raheem Mostert does have 100 yards rushing on 9 carries. But it's been quiet for Tyreek Hill, who recently just broke the record for most receiving yards by any Dolphin player in franchise history. But it's been a quiet game for Tyreek Hill so far. But Josh Allen looking superb. And right now he's 11 for 14, 166 and 2 touchdowns. Dawson Knox lead away with 2 catches for 56 yards. Huge day so far with Josh Allen. I hope he keeps it up. But it's an 8-point game halfway through the second. Final thing we're going to talk about today, guys, man. That's it, all my topics. Yeah, that's all my topics. So, wow. That was a quick little episode we had today. But I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, guys. Um, if you're new, like, subscribe to the channel. For those who want to comment for future episodes, write down in the comment section or hit me up on my socials. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is probably the shortest video I've ever done in my podcast. So thank y'all for tuning in, guys. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Stay warm. For those who are in Florida, there's a cold front coming in. It's gonna be in a low to mid 20s starting next weekend. So y'all guys start to bundle up, get the hot chocolate ready, get that fireplace burning, get your bonfire started. But stay cold, stay warm, and stay safe, guys. Have a wonderful season.